In the small town of Dalton, Illinois, the atmosphere at a recent village board meeting became anything but ordinary. Tensions were high as residents voiced their growing frustrations with Mayor Tiffany Henyard, amid ongoing allegations of financial mismanagement and accusations of neglecting the community's needs. The board meeting, which was supposed to be a routine gathering, quickly turned into a high-stakes showdown that resembled a reality TV drama. The mayor's 30-minute tardiness had already set the stage for a volatile evening. For many residents, this delay felt like a blatant act of disrespect, and the room was filled with palpable frustration as Henyard finally arrived. Her lateness wasn't the only issue. The underlying causes of anger ran much deeper, with financial mismanagement and the mayor's failure to address critical community concerns at the forefront. When the meeting finally began, the discontent was clear. One by one, residents took to the microphone, making direct, pointed criticisms aimed at Henyard. There was no sugarcoating it. These were personal attacks. People were fed up. They no longer wanted to merely express their dissatisfaction. They demanded action. The common refrain of "clean house" echoed through the room, signaling a turning point in the political climate of Dalton as the residents made their frustrations known. Henyard remained defiant. The growing list of grievances, from financial mismanagement to a lack of transparency, had pushed the community to a boiling point. The people were no longer willing to sit idly by. They were united in their call for change. The mood had shifted from a civil dispute to a demand for accountability. The mayor's leadership had failed the town, and the frustration was palpable. "Let's not waste another minute on someone who doesn't respect our time," one resident said, her voice tight with emotion. Another added more forcefully, "You won't be getting my vote for the next supervisor position." These comments weren't just criticisms. They were personal attacks fueled by years of dissatisfaction. The community felt betrayed by a leader who had failed to live up to the promises she made when first elected. The mayor's delay was symbolic of the larger issues at play: neglect, broken promises, and a leadership style seen by many as self-serving. The tension in the room only grew as Henyard responded. Rather than acknowledging concerns of the people, she launched into a counterattack, accusing residents of being unbelievably disrespectful toward the microphone. Her tone was dripping with disdain, and she seemed to believe she was untouchable. Confident that she would secure re-election, she boldly declared, "I have 82% of the favor. I'm going to come through on a landslide just like Trump did." By comparing herself to the former president, Henyard attempted to project an image of invincibility, but her response only deepened the divide between her and the people she was supposed to serve. For many, Henyard's reaction highlighted her refusal to take responsibility for her actions. Instead of showing humility or listening to the people, she doubled down, maintaining a posture of stubbornness. The community's anger wasn't just about policy disagreements anymore. It was about a lack of transparency, broken promises, and a failure to lead with the best interests of Dalton's residents in mind. The meeting, which was intended to be a forum for open dialogue, became a microcosm of the larger issues plaguing Dalton. The mayor's leadership had fostered a profound disconnect between her and the people she was elected to serve. As more residents stepped up to voice their concerns, it became evident that the anger was not just political, it was personal. The harshness of their words reflected a deep sense of betrayal. They no longer saw Henyard as a potential leader for change, but as someone who had neglected their needs for far too long. As the meeting progressed, the intensity of the criticisms continued to rise. "You've broken our trust," one speaker said, summing up the sentiments of many. Henyard's inability to address the concerns of her constituents left many feeling unheard and abandoned. The community felt as if they had been misled, and now they were demanding accountability. The confrontation was a turning point for Dalton's political landscape. The calls for Henyard's removal were no longer just idle chatter. They were the beginning of a movement. The residents had reached their breaking point, and the message was clear. They were done waiting for a mayor who had failed them time and time again. Henyard's response, defensive, combative, and unyielding, only made the divide more obvious. The people of Dalton were no longer asking for change. They were demanding that the meeting was eventually cut short due to the absence of two key trustees, Chris Gonzalez and Carvin Carlisle, further highlighting the dysfunction that had come to define Henyard's administration. With no quorum, no official decisions could be made, intensifying community's frustration and emphasizing the lack of leadership at the top. Henyard's defiance and her refusal to acknowledge the gravity of the situation illustrated the growing gulf between her and the residents of Dalton. While she projected confidence in her ability to win re-election, her actions only deepened the sense of betrayal felt by the people. Many residents felt that Henyard's leadership had fostered a climate of neglect, and her response to their criticism seemed only to reinforce their belief that she was not fit to lead. As the meeting ended, the atmosphere in Dalton was one of disillusionment. Henyard's attempt to assert herself as an untouchable figure had only alienated her further from the community. The ongoing FBI investigation into her administration served as a stark reminder that even those in positions of power can be challenged when they fail to live up to the expectations of those they serve. The situation in Dalton is not unique. Across the country, similar frustrations are bubbling to the surface as communities grow tired of politicians who are not accountable to their constituents. The Dalton saga highlights the importance of civic engagement and the need for transparency and accountability in local government. The people of Dalton, once hopeful for change, now stand united in their call for leadership that is responsive, responsible, and truly representative of their needs as the investigation into Henyard's administration continues. One thing is clear. The people of Dalton are not backing down. They are ready to hold their leaders accountable, no matter how powerful they may seem. Whether Henyard will heed the calls for reform or continue to cling to power remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. The clock is ticking, and the people of Dalton are ready to take a stand for the leadership they deserve as tensions in Dalton, Illinois, continue to rise. A growing disconnect between Mayor Tiffany Henyard and her constituents has become impossible to ignore. The recent village board meeting, which was cut short due to the absence of two key trustees, Chris Gonzalez and Carvin Carlisle, only intensified the frustration in the room. With a lack of quorum, no official decisions could be made. Further highlighting the dysfunction that many believe has come to define Henyard's administration, this situation is far from unique. Across the nation, similar frustrations are building as residents feel increasingly ignored by officials who fail to be transparent, responsive, or accountable. In Dalton, this frustration is compounded by an ongoing FBI investigation into Henyard's administration, shedding light on allegations of financial mismanagement, extravagant spending, and the misuse of taxpayer funds. These accusations, paired with a growing dissatisfaction among residents, have created a perfect storm of discontent. People are no longer questioning policy decisions. They are demanding action and accountability. The controversy surrounding Henyard's leadership underscores deeper issues of governance in Dalton. Many residents feel burdened by poor leadership, a lack of transparency, and ongoing financial mismanagement. These concerns, along with the FBI investigation, have pushed the community to a breaking point. Tensions are running high. And as Henyard continues to maintain a steadfast belief in her power, it is clear that the battle between the people and their mayor is far from over. The outcome of the ongoing investigation could reshape Dalton's political landscape, setting a precedent for how the public holds its leaders accountable for their actions. The struggle for justice, transparency, and responsible leadership is intensifying in Dalton. As the community's anger grows, so does their resolve to challenge Henyard's leadership. The stakes have never been higher, and the residents are no longer willing to tolerate the lack of accountability they feel has characterized her administration. Public opinion has become a significant part of the story. On platforms like YouTube, viewers have been voicing their frustrations and following the drama closely. One commenter, unimpressed with Henyard's appearance, compared her to rapper Lil Wayne, writing, "Tiff Tiff seems like Lil Wayne without makeup." This remark highlights how Henyard's image has become a focal point of the controversy, overshadowing discussions of policy. The comparison to a contentious figure like Lil Wayne suggests that Henyard's image has become a subject of public scrutiny, which only adds to the public's growing discontent. Another commenter, seemingly resigned to Henyard's power, expressed frustration with the mayor's apparent immunity to consequences, writing, "She has never been charged, arrested, or found guilty in court. She's been doing whatever she wants for the past 2 years, and is still managing as a mayor. She is untouchable." This sentiment reflects the growing belief that Henyard operates above the law, escaping accountability, despite numerous allegations and scandals. For many residents, her seeming invincibility has fostered a sense of helplessness and frustration as they struggle to hold her accountable for her actions. Henyard's grip on power seems unshakable to some, with one viewer sarcastically referring to her as Super Mayor Tiffany, in acknowledgement of her unchecked authority. Others lamented how Henyard seems more concerned with managing her personal affairs than addressing the community's needs, with one remarking, "She's taking care of the BS of other people." These comments express a deep sense of alienation and frustration among Dalton residents, who feel increasingly disconnected from a leader they perceive as out of touch with their concerns. The growing backlash against Henyard is not just limited to social media. Her legal troubles continue to fuel the fire of public discontent. She is facing claims of improper nominations and an eviction action from her landlord due to unpaid rent. The controversy surrounding her extravagant spending habits, which have been well documented, has raised further questions about her priorities and whether she is truly serving the best interests of the people she governs. With allegations of financial mismanagement and an apparent disregard for concerns of her constituents, It's easy to understand why Dalton residents are angry and disillusioned. What's even more striking is Henyard's belligerent stance. Despite mounting criticism, she remains determined to hold on to power, refusing to acknowledge the gravity of the situation. Her defiance only adds fuel to the growing tension between her and the residents. The upcoming election in Dalton will be a pivotal moment. It could determine not only the future of Henyard's political career, but also the future of Dalton itself. Her actions have already created significant turmoil, not just within Dalton, but also in her new role as supervisor of Thornton Township. The scandals and dysfunction of her mayoral tenure have followed her into this new position, further casting doubt on her leadership. As Dalton grapples with the fallout from Henyard's leadership, one thing is certain: the residents are no longer willing to tolerate a lack of accountability. Whether through the ongoing FBI investigation, public outcry, or the upcoming election, the people of Dalton are demanding the change they believe is long overdue. The battle for justice and responsible leadership in Dalton is far from over, and the community's resolve to hold its leaders accountable has never been stronger. The chaos in Dalton and Thornton Township continues to grow as concerns mount over Mayor Tiffany Henyard's spending habits, lack of transparency, and general mismanagement. These issues have sparked boycotts of township meetings and even halted operations, underscoring the dysfunction she has carried with her into her dual role. Many residents believe that Henyard prioritizes her interests over those of the people she's meant to serve, deepening the crisis in both communities. As the situation in Dalton and Thornton Township spirals, the demand for accountability has never been more urgent, and the upcoming election may finally determine whether the people can reclaim their town from what many now see as an unchecked, made of growing unrest in Dalton is a direct reflection of Henyard's increasingly controversial behavior. Her penchant for self-promotion and personal gain has sparked widespread criticism. Billboards emblazoned with her image and the slogan "Super Mayor" and "People's Choice" have raised eyebrows, with many locals viewing them as a blatant misuse of public funds for her self-aggrandizement. For residents, these billboards serve as a daily reminder of their tax dollars being squandered, while Henyard focuses on enhancing her image rather than addressing the urgent needs of the community. Even traditionally charitable events, like the annual Thanksgiving turkey giveaway, have become sources of controversy. While such events are typically seen as goodwill gestures, many residents now view Henyard's involvement as a cynical attempt to distract from the deeper, more pressing issues facing both Dalton and Thornton Township. Instead of uniting the community, the event has only deepened political divisions, with critics accusing Henyard of using it to enhance her public image amidst mounting political strife. Meanwhile, Henyard's legal troubles show no sign of easing. Ongoing eviction proceedings, court challenges regarding her appointments, and lawsuits over meeting venues all contribute to an atmosphere of instability and uncertainty. The continuous legal drama not only distracts from the pressing issues in both municipalities, but also further erodes public trust in her leadership. It serves as a reminder of the dysfunction that has come to define her time in office, with the constant turmoil undermining the confidence residents have in their elected officials as the court cases drag on. It becomes clear that Henyard's behavior is part of a troubling pattern within local politics, a pattern where elected officials, like Henyard, seem to believe they are above the law and immune to accountability. Her actions reflect a troubling disrespect for public opinion and a complete disregard for the welfare of the community. The ongoing financial mismanagement, extravagant spending, and relentless self-promotion all point to systemic problems that demand urgent attention. These issues are not unique to Dalton. They reflect the growing distrust between elected officials and the communities they are meant to serve, a sentiment that is becoming all too common in cities across the country. Henyard's tenure serves as a stark reminder of the pressing need for transparency, responsibility, and accountability in local government. While she may appear untouchable for now, the broader question remains: what will it take to hold her accountable for her actions? The people of Dalton are desperate for change, but as Henyard's grip on power seems to tighten, the question lingers: will they ever see the change they seek? And if not, what does that say about the broader systems of governance that allow such behavior to persist as Henyard's legal and political battles unfold? The residents of Dalton and Thornton Township must ask themselves what it will take to create a government that truly serves the people. The stakes are high, and it remains to be seen whether Henyard will weather the storm or whether the people of Dalton will finally succeed in their quest for accountability and change.